Hey everyone, just wanted to give a bit of an intro to the video I'm going to do today. I'm going to do a few of these sort of videos. It might be like gameplay, kill highlights, or some form of learning. Today for Onward, we're going to go through how the bullet drop does, or in this case, doesn't work in the game, just to try and clarify that for a few of those people. So this will be, from here, probably be just a video of a stream session I did. If there's anything I need to clarify through that, I'll add information. Otherwise, enjoy.
Right, so proper bullet drop. What does it mean? So you've got your gun, you've got your scopey thingy, so that's your line of sight, and then you got your barrel. Obviously, the barrel goes further forward than that, but a bullet has gravity acting on it, so a bullet, as it comes out, will drop. So what you will do is actually angle your barrel up such that the trajectory is on an angle up, and it will come up on a parabola and then come down. Your line of sight will be zeroed at some distance, just say here, this distance. So your line of sight will go through there. Depending on velocity, that will change how that arc sits on that, but that's the basic premise. This is your starting trajectory. If it was a straight line of your bullet, what it would do and how it deviates away with gravity working on it. In terms of calculations, you got S equals UT plus half AT squared, which is S is your distance. So your distance, that's your drop. UT equals your vertical starting velocity, and half AT squared. So if we look on a simple case of it starting horizontally and dropping away, you can figure out how far it drops by first figuring out the time it would take to get to target. So you got S equals half AT squared. A is known, that's gravity. T is unknown at this point. If you have your bullet velocity and distance to target, you got the things you need, because you got velocity equals distance over time. So you've got distance and velocity, so you got time equals distance over velocity. So you can figure out your T in this, and then using that T you can figure out your bullet drop. Basically from that bullet drop, you get things like, I've simplified that into a really simple calculator here. Oi, get out of the way. You go on the screen. Ooh. Okay. Where you can basically choose your distance and choose the gun type within Onward, which all that really does is just choose a velocity, and you'll see the amount of drop which you would get at that distance. So MCX has 340 meters per second, which is basically, MCX is meant to be less than the speed of sound, because of the ammo type used in Onward. You got time to impact of 0.882 seconds and a drop of 3.82 meters at that distance. That applies across whatever the weapon, blah blah blah. We can figure all that out. So, in terms of what previous observations, however, without having a huge amount of testing, what I believe is happening in Onward is it's not actually a proper parabolic flight of the round, because it doesn't seem to be there's a 0 point. What it looks like they've done instead is you got your weapons scope and your rifle, and it looks like they've instead put an angle of, this is going to be accentuated, angle between them like that, so that the bullet deviates away from the line of sight at distance, so that distance acts like drop, but what it actually results in, there's no crossing point, there's no so if it was actually a proper round, you get a crossing point there, but it's deviating away. You don't really have a 0 point. So to test that, we can see whether the bullet ever, if we shoot at targets at different distances, we can see whether the bullet ever creeps up and then back down, because what it would do is it should hit high initially above the line of sight. So if you do have proper bullet trajectory, your bullet trajectory will be, your bullet trajectory will be something like that. as we said before, line of sight, something like that. So what it would do, it would hit. It might hit on. This will vary depending on the speed of the bullet, but it should hit higher, and then start. It should hit below at really close range because of the height of a bore, which is the distance between your scope and your barrel. We're trying to use some low height over bore ones just to minimize that impact. So it should hit high, and then it should deviate on, and then it should deviate away as you get to further distances. What I suspect we will see instead is a slow deviation away, or basically none. So let's look at the M16 A4 with 12x. So if you look at the line of the barrel and the line of the scope, not a huge height over bore, which is good. So we'll run with that. Do I have... I do have the M16 in there at 300 meters. I don't know the distances exactly on this map, so not talking about a huge amount of drop. This is going to be hard. This is where it's going to be hard with the high velocity rounds to really see. You're only talking about half a meter deviation, which is, yeah, you know, what's that, 1.5 foot? It's a bit over 1.5 foot, so it might be a bit. Why is my chat not showing up in my hand? Because it doesn't like it. I've not clicked on this. Great. We don't know what the theoretical zero is. Hey, Mr. Death, I'm going to look at bullet drop and whether it exists at all. Yeah, I'm myth busting, maybe. So I was just going over some basic theory of bullet trajectory and shit and how it works. Yeah, look, it's hard with the high velocity rounds because at the distance we're doing, you're only looking at like half a meter deviation. I'm not sure how steady I'm going to be able to hold the rifle, to be honest, but I probably should have put a little bit of smoothing onto my gun and bring over this chair. Or go prone, but prone involves me going prone. Let's get this set up. So, we talked about the different distances. Oh, you wouldn't be able to tell me the distance to the furthest target, Mr. Death? I know it doesn't work, but in what way doesn't it work? So what I've always thought was that it just basically is a straight line deviation down. So you got your line of sight, and then a straight line deviates down away. So there's no actual crossing point. Oh, we do have the distance to the furthest target. Sweet. Yeah, come here, chair. Get over here. Right, I'm going to use the chair aid. I'm going to take the back off the chair though, so I'm not blocking my... Can I take the back off this chair? Oh yes, there's a little button thingy there. Ow. Ow. That's my finger. Nope, not wanting to do it. Alright, screw it. I'll do it with the back on. Probably got enough trackers to do this. Alright. Probably might be better. Got to be steady as. Then I'm shooting on an angle. Shooting range too small. Yeah, downfall might be the best one, because I know that's 300 meters across. I know from North Hotel heading to White House is about 300 and something meters. This looks to be like, what, 200 at range? Could go up there. That'd add the other 100, but then you got a height deviation. Yeah, I'll give this a go though. We'll see whether, if we hit from one target to the next, whether... Let's just go with the lowest velocity gun we know, because that would definitely have to have a big arc. So lowest velocity one which I can put a sight on, a good sight on, and I can actually use my stock with. The lowest velocity would be the 1911, but we'll go with the MCX instead, because that should be probably closest to the second. Yeah, M6 is going to be less than MP5. MP5 is subsonic. Sorry, MP5 is supersonic. It doesn't have the, it's not the MP5 SD. So, what this should be, it should hit... what should I aim for? Top of the head? Alright, so that was... second bullet was on. Fuck, it's too hard to get us. I need to put some smoothing on some shit. Alright, so this hits low. It's the same. Oh, now it's getting really hard to see. Left. It's not really deviating much. If it is, it's within the margin of error for sure. Yeah, it's within margin of error. And that's like, what, 200 meters with the subsonic gun? So if we instead, let's have a little quick look. If we change that, Mr. Death can hopefully confirm the range. 175 meters from sandbag line. Okay, so 175. Where's my keyboard? Let's go to the right weapon. That seems wrong. You should get 1.3 meter drop. You got 0. We got 0 meters drop. And you can't even argue that it went up and then came back down. Yeah. Okay, I was shooting at the statics behind the furthest moving. So maybe 200 meters? Yeah, okay, close to 200. I could put 190. One and a half meters. We're not getting 1.5 meters of drop. So definitely on guns like this. But then, conversely, let's go to a faster moving bullet. But we'll get one of my favourite guns, which is still broken. The MP5. I love this gun. Let's get suppressed just because it makes it more pleasant for you guys. I love this gun. A little bit higher height of bore. Cool. Alright, do the same thing with this. Now, this one hits low at basically every single distance. Aim for the tip of the head. Look at that. Look how low that hits. Yep, there it goes. Almost nearing the bottom of the target. This just is an angular deviation. Not even going to make the target. I'm going to aim with the bottom of the hollow because I think that's actually the aim point. No, a little bit. No. There. Yeah. So it's just above the bottom of the holographic is where you should be aiming on the MP5. So if I aim like that. That should be head. Yeah. Yeah. So MP5 is actually so far out that you should aim with the bottom of the circle on the holographic. That's the sort of so that's the angular deviation. So the eye sight line should be straight through the dot, but it's actually on an angle down through the bottom of the holographic line, like that instead of like that. And that is your barrel angle. Again, I don't think there's actually any drop. Yeah, it'd be good. There's two sides. There's one, just fixing the trajectory of this so that it actually hits closer would be nice. Even if there is no actual drop and it's just an angular deviation, whatever, that'd be fine. But this one, you can't even use it at the moment. It's a faster round than the MCX. Would actually be a really fun gun to use. Let's look at some other P90. That's a fast round. Hard to really. What about the shotguns? So I feel like the shotguns do deviate a lot as well. The feet, yeah, that is broken. There is no actual drop at all. So there is an angle, but no actual drop. Okay, so that answers it. So some people may see it as being a drop because of that. So as you saw on the MP5, it does deviate away as you go at distance, but it's actually just an angle. deviating away. So it's a straight line, but just deviating away. What's this gonna do? Ah, it's gonna do the same halfway between. Oh, it's similar to the MP5, look. Yeah. Yeah, similar to MP5. So again, just angular deviation. Bottom of the holographic. No actual bullet drop. Blah blah blah. Oh, it's not even meant to be offset like that? Yeah, so I was saying at the start, I was doing some basic math and just explaining at the start like you should have your barrel pointing up, really over accentuating it, your scope pointing whatever, your flight, this should be your initial angle with deviation. Sight line should cross, oh yeah, this is going to look badly, cross through with your 0 point. That's how it should be within shooting, but instead what it looks like we've got is sight line like that, sure, but where's another? The actual gun is either straight or even be slightly deviating away. In the case of MP5, the M1014 was it? Yeah. Yeah, I'm saying this is how it should be. Yeah, should be. And then what you zero that at a distance if you're going with a realistic game. So that's why MCX at the moment, massively OP gun. If you're going to run a specialist gun, you get a suppressor and no bullet drop. Time to target also seems off on it, but that's harder to verify because you've got time to target's only going to be 0.6 of a second, so that's going to be not the easiest to verify, but we can have a little see whether we can verify that. Should be able to perceive. I made that document ages. I made this ages ago. This was like a 10-minute task. I just looked at some bullet velocities, because the MCX, when we tested it at some point, I knew it was broken. I just wanted to explain exactly how it's broken when people ask. Just saying it's broken is not really helpful to people. That seems less than 0.6 of a second to me. Bullet velocities, well, I know that they've stated that this is the subsonic version of 300 Blackout, so therefore it needs to be subsonic. So therefore it's less than the speed of sound, which is, I've gone blank, what, 360 meters per second? Bullet velocity is also broken. Cool. Good to know. But then you've actually got, so you got that, and then you look at the ASVAL, and it seems like it actually does have time to target, or it did, but it might not anymore. ASVAL's got massive drop. You look at this as well. It becomes an unusable gun. So ASVAL, so the MCX and the ASVAL should be very, very, very similar guns. Because you got the ASVAL, which is the 9x39 subsonic round. And you got the MCX, which is the subsonic round. So you got the ASVAL a little bit lower, 295 meters per second. I think I took that from Wiki. MCX should be lower than 340, but I think that's what it's set at in the game, 340. But either way, it's not working. Fun. Oops. Yeah, that's so low. Obviously, let's put this guy's head. So neck one's a different target. So if I aim there, yeah. Okay. Bottom of the holographic on this one again. Probably the same at this distance? Yeah. Any distance, same. Bottom of the holographic if you want to use the ASVAL. What else is there? Any other? TAR 21. Another interesting gun because it sits in a. It's a fast round. It's one of the high damage guns. So the gun damage is also broken at the moment. It's worth noting. So like you've got, actually, that's worth noting here. There's some discrepancies if you are choosing guns, where again the MCX becomes a really nice choice. Is you look at the MCX damage there, very low. Mark 18 compared to it, looks like it's got double damage. They actually have exactly the same damage. MCX and Mark 18 both have exactly the same damage. MCX shoots faster rounds and has lower recoil, so MCX wins out completely. Does cost 1 point more, so that's something to consider, but the MCX actually has the same damage, faster fire rate, lower recoil than the Mark 18. So don't necessarily go by the intent values. I'll keep this spreadsheet up to date. Yeah. And then looking on the Volk side, you've got like similar sort of stuff. So the AK-104 and the G36C were both nerfed slightly, and they both have exactly the same damage. So, and the other, and then on the other side of that, on the Volk side, when you're looking through these, so you look at these. So you got AK-104. So wait, I'll click on the G36C. Okay. AK-104 looks like it has much more damage. Should have, judging by the graph and judging by the round used, should be 11 damage. If you look at the AKM, same round, it is a slightly shorter barrel, so a little bit slower velocity. Should be 11 damage, might be 10 damage, or you could maybe do a 10.5. Doesn't make a huge difference, but it's actually 8 damage, the same as the G36C. G36C was reduced to 8 damage. The G36C, reduced to 8. The TAR is still 10. But yeah, the AK-104 G36C, same damage at the moment. Worth noting that. Yeah, that's pretty much this summary. I don't know if I need to go into more detail on this. Yeah, I don't know on the stats. It's frustrating because they've been wrong for a long time, and I have highlighted it for a long time. Yeah, the stats are frustrating to say the least.